Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the All-Star Wrestling Review for the 6th of October, 1979. Fast approaching 1980. Good stuff in 80 and 81 coming forward, which is cool. Always cool to see that we've got, expansion of series, and we are going to cover literally as much wrestling as we can from the pre-Attitude Era as possible. That's where my love of the sport began, so that's what I'm most comfortable in covering in any event. This particular edition, as mentioned, the 6th of October 1979, and it's an interesting time. They're still in a rebuilding phase. Moose Monroe, Larry Zbyszko kicking us off, and is it exactly the best of matches? No, certainly not. Is it terrible? Also, no, certainly not. Zbyszko still managing to be on top, although 7:32 for this match, probably a little longer than it needs to be. But that's part of, I guess, building a territory where you're trying to get small numbers of people over. Go behinds and basic stuff for Zbyszko, who doesn't get nearly everything he wants. Monroe is an enhancement talent who's been around for quite a while. He manages to hang on pretty adeptly. The go-behind, Zbyszko spends several minutes working a headlock almost expertly, and manages to, as he has in the past, use an out-wrestler's mentality. Monroe having a little more power than Zbyszko. Zbyszko having more technical ability, including a leg lace and other submission style maneuvers, kind of hanging on to the body a bit more than is average, and ultimately leading in a direction that is beneficial, rolls them up and gets the win. Then we move to the next in the series, which in this case happens to be, after an inside cradle win by Zbyszko, which in this case happens to be moving towards a Bobby Duncum Sr. against Ben Ortiz, 304, with a bulldog. Apparently, Duncum Sr. had been here before. Ortiz, relatively new enhancement talent here. Duncum, big Texas boy, and managing to get a good bit of power moves here. Power slam, suplexes, and the like. Captain Lou Albano being his manager throws a little bit off in the. You'd think maybe a Fred Blassie or a Grand Wizard would be there, but I think more because he's the brawler. He being Duncum basically implies that Backlund will be no challenge. Sammartino is no challenge, and that he is going to lay out both of these individuals during his run and manage to be your eventual world champion, which obviously doesn't happen, but you can see right from the beginning here in October of 79, he's being built in that direction. The Intercontinental Champion Pat Patterson with the Grand Wizard is up next. Wizard with a suit coat and a turban. And his opponent, I believe, is regular enhancement talent, Steve King here. And King, do I necessarily think they need to have this many enhancement matches? Certainly not, especially this match goes 6 minutes. Probably could have gotten the same thing done in 3. Pat Patterson, though, phenomenal seller. I encourage anyone who is in the business in a capacity of wanting to be a work heel, in a capacity of wanting to learn the art of begging off without killing yourself off in the process, and also moving around the ring with a fluidity, but also in integrity and an authority. Amazing here. Patterson getting picked up, kicked up, and ultimately lit up, actually, by King. This is actually pretty good in the sense that I know there's debate among the wrestling community about, is it good for a guy like Pat Patterson, who is your Intercontinental Champion, to be selling this much for a guy like King? But if King can get even 2 or 3 minutes in on a guy like Patterson in a 6-minute match, it makes him look like he could win lesser matches. Obviously, Patterson wins with the bombs away knee drop, but the drop kicks and the arm bars and the arm holds and the basic things that he's allowed to do lead in a positive direction. And we've got another match here. This being the let's see here. I believe we move into the Valiant Brothers next here in this particular edition, and hey, the Valiants, Dominic DeNucci defeats Jerry Valiant via disqualification 9:21 when Johnny Valiant interferes. Gorilla Monsoon makes the save. Post-bout, Monsoon removed from main level competition on a consistent basis, but still here enough that when he runs in and does something of value, it's a big deal. Also, DeNucci, a guy that has his respect. Valiant in a singles match, kind of different, especially being a tag team champion. Setting up for DeNucci and a partner potentially to get some run. Valiant, a lot of punch kick, a lot of front face locks. Basic stuff, cutting the match down into simplest form. Backdrop by DeNucci, and Valiant not exactly taking the highest of backdrops by any stretch of the imagination, but it's here. It's simple and it's easy and it's good enough. Hard shots by Valiant there, and ultimately leading in a direction that we see DeNucci stomping around on the outside. Again, Monsoon does the run in, and I think that's more because he's a finish man, more just to get him on TV. They seem to do that once or twice a year with Monsoon at this time, late 70s, early 80s, just to kind of give him some semblance of value to the long-term viewing public who knew him from the 60s and earlier 70s, probably easily almost half a decade, if not longer, removed from his main forces of value, but fans like that nostalgia kick just like they do now. In any event, we move to the final match on the card. Mike Masters, 258, defeated by Sweet Hansen. Hansen has been pushed pretty heavily over the last several months, as we have documented here. Hansen, alongside Fred Blassie, punch kick, and eventually the pile driver. He doesn't really care about rules. He doesn't really care about anything other than getting himself in an over position, and manages to do so relatively well. We will move forward into the next in our series. We'll be back later tonight also with NWA, AEW Dark, and NXT, but we'll be back with more right after this.